Welcome to my channel, Gadgets for Gentlemen. Today I'm wearing this beautiful Seiko SKX013 and I wear it on this blue NATO strap. I think it's an excellent watch. As we can see here, a beautiful black dial. It has a very small case size, only about 36 millimeters. I had a request on my YouTube channel by one of our viewers about two particular watches. About the Seiko SKX013, this one, and the Hamilton Khaki. This gentleman asked me if I can put these watches side to side, because we're dealing here with two watches that are with automatic movements by very reputable brands, and I think it's a very nice request because I love these two watches. And I do have to say this Hamilton comes at a price point which is a bit higher than the SKX013. But in all other regards, I would say these are very great automatic watches if you don't want to spend a fortune and if you don't want to have automatic watches with a very big case size, because these, and we get into dimensions later, but these watches are about 38 millimeters, so a very conservative size. And what I like to do extra, I think, if you are interested in these watches, then you might also want to have a look at the Seiko Alpinist. And I'll put them on the table now, because what I think is these watches, they have the same sort of qualities. So if you are attracted to one of these watches, then you might also want to consider looking at the other watches. So let me prepare this table and I continue talking about these watches. So my watch journey started with inheriting a very nice vintage Tudor Prince date. So that's a bit of a more affordable brother of the Rolex. That got me into automatic watches. And I was fascinated by the automatic movement of the Tudor. And I will show it on this channel sometime soon. But I wanted an automatic watch that I could wear anywhere at any time, that is not as pricey as a Tudor, because I don't want to damage my Tudor. So then I realized, for example, with this Seiko, this is the best example, I think. For such a low price point, you get a whole bunch of watch that has shock protection, is waterproof till 200 meters, and I think also has a very iconic design. So if you want to go for an affordable automatic watch that can really take a beating, and I don't advocate damaging these watches, but just if you live an active lifestyle, then I think you shouldn't worry about this this beautiful dive watch. Now let me get a bit closer up here. So yeah, my point is, I started, this was maybe my second automatic watch. The first automatic watch that I bought myself after inheriting that beautiful Tudor watch. Let's get a bit closer. I think that's better. And I was so overwhelmed by the quality you get for such an affordable entry-level piece. And so really Seiko stole my heart. And then when I found this watch that has a lot of following in the watch community, you know, this is a very popular piece. And I think for the right set of reasons. As you can see here, we have a beautiful case, nice polished, a green dial, golden applied indices, very beautiful hands, cathedral style, a day and only a date function, no day, while the dive watch has a day display. Beautiful watch. And this watch is not a dive watch, but it has a signed, screwed in crown, this one, that also allows you to go 200 meters deep. As you can see here, it's written 20 bar, so 200 meters. And this crown we can use to operate the compass. Let me try to catch it in one shot. So when I rotate this second crown at the 4 o'clock position, then we can see that outer bezel rotate. So this we can use to rotate the compass. And this one is not screwed in, but I heard this is not connected to the movement. So we don't need to worry about water getting in this piece. And then thirdly, we have this beautiful Hamilton Khaki. This is a beautiful field watch with a sapphire crystal, beautiful automatic movement, beautiful crown, as you can see here, with a beautiful logo engraved, hand winding, and a display case back. So if I lift up this NATO strap, then we can see here this watch has a beautiful display case back. We can already see the movement. So this video, basically, I want to address a few things. Mainly, I want to talk about size. So these watches are all about 38 millimeter in case dimensions. So these sizes. These watches, these two watches, the Seiko Alpinist and the Hamilton Khaki, they come at about maybe, this is from the top of my head, maybe about $400. And this one, the SKX013, comes at about, say, $200. So what these watches have in common is what you could consider entry-level automatic watches. What they have in common is they're both tool watches. All of them are tool watches. Like these three pieces, they can take a bit of a beating. So that's another similarity. And then also what I think is these watches are iconic, all three of them. I think they do have their own particular style. So if you wear these watches, then you truly own a very nice piece. One more thing to note, the Hamilton and the Alpinist, I wear it on these NATO straps. Originally they come on leather straps, and I have to say this Seiko Alpinist, the leather strap it originally came on is horrible in my opinion. The leather strap of the Hamilton is quite nice, and this SKX originally comes on either a rubber strap, which I heard is pretty good, or on this metal bracelet. And I'm really over the moon with this metal bracelet. Yeah, you can hear that. It rattles a bit. It's a bit flim, but I do think it looks very, very nice. So this was a bit of the intro. What can you expect for these watches? We're dealing here with a watch that does not have a screw down crown. So that means we cannot screw down the crown. So in terms of water resistancy, this watch only deals with 100 meters of water resistancy. Let me point that out for you. Let's have a closer look. So here we can read water resistant 10 bar. And we can have a peak at that movement with a beautiful Hamilton rotor. So what happens if I have wrist movements? As you can see here, the rotor will charge the movement. And also we could hand wind the crown like this, and the movement will charge. So we're dealing here with 100 meters waterproof or water resistant. On the other hand, this watch as well as this watch have screw down crowns. That means you need to first unscrew the crown before you can operate the movement, like in this position, the neutral position. And that allows more a higher level of water resistancy. So let me show that to you. We can see divers 200 meters. So this is a ISO certified dive watch with a water resistancy level of 200 meters. So that's in terms of water resistancy. So I hope you can see this. This is the screwed down caseback of the Seiko Alpinist. And here we can read it has a water resistant 20 bar. So that's similar to the SKX013. We can see an engraved logo. So that's the watch face. So one more detail. This Seiko Alpinist has a screw down caseback and we cannot see the movement. That's the same with this SKX013. Also it's screw down caseback and we see this beautiful logo of this wave, but we cannot see the movement. This Hamilton, on the other hand, also has a screw down caseback and it has a display caseback. So here we see this beautiful crystal. I think it's also sapphire, and we can see the movement in action. So if you fancy that, then this particular watch is the only watch in this regard with the display caseback. So that was a bit of a long intro for this video. There's one more thing that I want to point out. I just removed the metal bracelet of the dive watch, the SKX013, just to make a better size comparison between the three of them. And what I wanted to point out is this Alpinist and the Hamilton, they have sapphire crystals. That means the crystal that is on top. And I think also on the back of this watch, so also this side, does not easily pick up scratches. Then this one has a hardlex crystal. So that is a very tough crystal made by Seiko. It will probably scratch over time, but it will not break easily. So that's in terms of specifications. Then there's one more difference with this movement, as well as the Hamilton movement. They allow for hand winding and hacking. And what I mean by hacking is when we pull out the crown, then the watch will stop moving. So the second hand will stop moving. Let me demonstrate. Now see, I unscrewed the crown, and as you can see, the second hand stopped moving. And when I press it back inside, it will continue moving. That is called hacking. So the Hamilton and this Alpinist, they have that function in the movement. And this one will not stop moving when you unscrew the crown. And what that means is it might be difficult to set this watch very accurately to, for example, your digital watch. So bear that in mind. For me, it's no big deal, but I do want to mention it. And also, this watch has hand winding, so this is a great way to charge your watch. And the 013 has not such an option. The Alpinist also has hand wind. So first, when we unscrew the crown and we go to the neutral position, then we can also charge the watch by gently charging it by hand winding. So let's put it back. So that was a bit of the features of these watches that are a bit in the same price category, and they are very tool-tastic. So these are very durable watches that really can take some degree of beating. And I think they also look just very beautiful, and they have their own style. Now I want to go over some dimensions. So let's start with case size. And what I mean by case size is the case excluding the crown. So let's measure up the Alpinist. About 39 millimeters, I get about 38.7. Including the crown, I get about 43. Now if we take the SKX013, we deal with a case size of about 38 millimeters, as you can see here. So that's slightly smaller. And when we have the Hamilton, we deal also with about 38. So these watches, they have a lock size of 20 millimeters. So this distance is 20 millimeters. See, that's the 20 millimeters. But you can also, of course, go for metal straps or rubber straps or leather straps. So that's the lug width of all these watches, 20 millimeters. That's a great size. Now let's go over lug to lug. That's the name to describe this distance. Basically the length of the watch from this tip to this tip. So here I'm dealing with about 46. This distance, about 46. Now let's proceed with the SKX. Now what you can see here, this is much shorter, only 44 millimeters. That's a whole 2 millimeters in difference. And then dealing with the Hamilton. The Hamilton is the longest with about 47 millimeters. So that's the Hamilton. Now finally, this is the final category. I want to go over the thickness of these watches. So let's start with the Alpinist. The Alpinist, we're dealing with about 12 millimeters. At 12 millimeters is quite good for a watch that is 200 meters waterproof. Then let's continue with the SKX013. This one is about 13 millimeters, and that's also not bad for 200 meters waterproof. And finally, let's have a look at the Hamilton. And the Hamilton is only about 10.5. Yeah, so great watches. Let's quickly throw them on some NATO straps. So let's have one final look at these true beauties. If you have any questions, then please ask me and I will get back to you. I think you cannot go wrong with either of these watches. To sum up, we have these beautiful watches with lug widths of 20 millimeters. We have quite some water resistancy here and shock resistancy. They truly look unique, and I think you cannot go wrong with the gorgeous Alpinist. You cannot go wrong with the super affordable and iconic dive watch. Straight beautiful. And then this Hamilton is straight gorgeous and very versatile with the black dial. Gorgeous. So, and once more, if you really want to go affordable and go for a modest size, then you should go with the SNK809. So I hope you find this video useful. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.